Kia ora, my name's Gliscor 101, and this is Uniquely New Zealand, the show where I discuss anything and everything New Zealand. And I'm a fucking hypocrite. Way back in episode 3 of this series, I discussed how the Maori language of Te Reo was kinda dying and how it was kind of the New Zealand government's fault. I'm not gonna make you go back and watch the whole video, but I ended the video with these thoughts. At the end of the day, getting Te Reo into New Zealand schools would not be that difficult. But the government has to want to do it first. They have to be willing to put down the money to make it happen. So the question is, do they deem it important enough? Personally, I think it is, to preserve what is truly uniquely New Zealand. God, I'm ugly. But I made a good point. Essentially what I was saying is maintaining and upkeeping a language is a pretty big job, and first we have to actually decide that we want to do it. I said all this as a New Zealander who doesn't know how to speak Te Reo. As I said, hypocrite. For years I have wrestled with the idea of buckling down and actually learning Te Reo. However, there's always been a few things that have stopped me. It'd be too hard. It'd take too much time. I'm too stupid. That third point may be reasonable, but the other two hold no ground. Essentially, I was putting this off, even though it was something I really wanted to do, and is something that would kind of better my life because I would be learning something useful. But self-doubt's a hell of a drug, so for the last 2 years I've kind of just been delaying it and putting it off and avoiding the whole subject. That is until Bubl. Bubl was created by Lanipator of Team 4-Star Roll With Me and Digimon Abridged fame. Bubl centers around the simple yet effective idea that self-help is an attainable goal. You can better your life just by putting in a little hard work and trying more. Ultimately, while this doesn't work for everyone, it really spoke to me as someone who's his own worst enemy. Since then, Lanipator has put out several videos in the Bubl campaign, all about eating better, being better with money, and setting goals. Plug complete. But Lanipator's Better You, Better Life campaign finally gave me that last push, that last bit of courage I needed to finally do this. To buy this book. Hashtag not sponsored. When I finally decided that I did want to learn Te Reo, I was faced with the problem of how am I actually going to learn a language? I could take classes, of course, but they would be expensive, maybe only meet once a week, and knowing me, I probably wouldn't be too great at seeking someone out and actually doing it. While I do fully intend to take classes further into my education of this language, starting out with them just seemed like the wrong call. I wanted something that I could do at a more reasonable rate, but also do fairly regularly. I looked through my options and found this book, Maori Made Easy. Now, Maori Made Easy is a book that you're intended to spend 30 minutes a day completing activities, revising, and just learning general words and how the language works. As I've said before, because of the Te Reo education in New Zealand schools, I've hypothetically spent 8 years studying this language, but none of it has really stuck like the things I've learnt in this book. Honestly, this book can be kind of intimidating at times. Some of the tasks do throw you in the deep end, and I have honestly gotten behind at a few points. But I keep going at it, I keep catching up, and I keep sticking to my lessons, and I think that's the more important part. If any of you are interested in checking it out, I'll put a link in the description below. As for how this channel is concerned with me learning Te Reo, the basic idea is every few months I'll do a special Uniquely New Zealand, not necessarily focused on what I've been learning or the language or anything, but just something to do with Maori culture, art, performance, something like that. I do have plans in the long run for when I actually start getting a handle on the language, maybe doing a few scripted episodes in Te Reo. I think a Te Reo gaming video would be a lot of fun, but that's all further down the line. Ultimately, I do not know where this ride's gonna go, but I hope you all join me to learn more stuff about Maori history, culture, art, and, of course, language. because it's gonna be truly uniquely New Zealand.